Hello.
Hi guys.
Tell us in the chat, are we audible?
Thank you for confirming that we're audible, guys. So, shall we start today's session?
Yes, you can go on. We have a 10-second delay in the stream, okay?
Okay. Yeah. So, firstly, welcome everyone for today's session. I'm Leah and I'm here with Shambhuraj. And together we're going to learn about design thinking and the first two steps of design thinking. Okay?
Hello, guys. This is Shambhuraj. Thank you, Leah, for introduction, and I hope you learn the most out of it.
Can you move the slides, please? Okay, yeah. So today we're going to go through and focus on the first two steps of design thinking, which are empathizing and defining. This is what we're going to cover today. We're going to learn what is user research, the difference between primary versus secondary research, what are the tools, the empathy map, user need analysis, and surveys. And then we're going to learn how to define a problem clearly. And then we have a quick activity plus discussion round. Okay, so first let's have a quick recap of what design thinking is. So, what is design thinking? Design thinking, it is not about designing a logo or just making a poster. It's the way of thinking that helps you solve problems by focusing on people first. You know, people's needs, their experiences, their struggles. This design thinking process, it is used by everyone, from startups to huge companies like Apple and Google. And do you know what's the cool part? It's not just for designers, it's for anyone who wants to create solutions that actually work for real people. The next slide, please. Okay. So now that we know what design thinking is, it is a user-centered iterative process of creating problem solving. Let us break it down into five steps. And trust me, once you get this, you'll start using it everywhere, from products to projects and even to solving problems in daily life. Okay. Now design thinking consists of five stages, which are empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. Let us understand each. Okay. What is empathizing? Empathize is nothing but understanding the user, talking to people, feeling what they're feeling. When we empathize here, we're not just assuming, we are asking. Let me give you an example. For example, if you're designing a study app, you're going to ask real students what frustrates them. Here, asking, caring about the people's feeling, that it's just nothing but empathizing. And the next step, we have define. Now, taking all those insights and framing the real problem. Okay, how are we going to define the example which I've given earlier? We shouldn't define it something like, how can we make a cool app? But instead, how can we help students stay focused while studying? Okay. And the next step we have is ideate. Ideation is like my favorite step of design thinking. This is like brainstorming time. Wild ideas are welcomed. There is no judging, no filtering. Just throw all your ideas out, even the weird ones. And sometimes, who knows, even the weird ones might actually win. The next step is prototype. Prototyping is nothing but building a quick mock-up or model. Not like a complete finished product, but just something small, just to test it out. It can even be a sketch or just a basic digital wireframe. And the last step we have here is test. Testing is nothing but trying it out with users. See what works and see what doesn't, and all of that. The next slide, please. Okay, so here's it's meme time now. So this is the journey of a product through different stages. So you're gonna see how the product is evolving, and after test, you're gonna see how strong the product have become. The five stages of design thinking, which are empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. Did you get it, guys? Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so now we're going to learn about the importance of empathize and define stages. We just walked through the five stages of design thinking, right? The first two steps, which are empathize and define, we're just going to focus on these two stages now. Because honestly, if you get these two wrong, then everything else, the ideating, prototyping, or the testing can totally flop. And let me tell you why. Empathizing, it is like the heart and soul of the design thinking process. It means that you're understanding the user, not just from the surface, but emotionally. Okay, think of it in this way. Would you rather design a product for someone or design it with actual problems in their mind? You would probably keep the problems in the mind and then design it, right? So basically, you can't solve a problem unless you feel it. Okay, now imagine this. You're building an app for students who struggle with focus. You assume that the issue is too many notifications or something like that. But when you actually talk to students, what do you find out? You find out that it's anxiety, burnout, peer pressure, and not knowing where to start. This is empathy. Okay, now if you had to build an app for your friend who's always late to class, what would you do? Would you just add reminders or would you first talk to them and figure out why they're late? We would first talk to them and figure out why they're late, right? And this is nothing but empathy. Okay, and now that you have empathized, trust me, sometimes it can be messy and confusing. The next step is define. The next job to be done is define. And here's the thing, defining the right problem, it's like more important than solving the wrong one really well. Let me explain you with the help of an example. Suppose if you're making a school bag, if you define it like how can we make a cooler school bag, that makes it a bad define. But instead, if you define it like this, something like how can we reduce shoulder pain for students who carry heavy books daily, that is good define. Here, the same product, which is a bag, but the second one, a good define, is based on the real user pain. You can just keep it in mind, like to get a defined problem, you can just remember that empathy plus insight is equal to a defined problem. Okay. And once you get that problem right, your entire project becomes easy. Whether you're working on any project, even if it's an app or a poster or a robot or even your next college event, don't just like jump straight to the ideas. First, walk in someone else's shoes. Then define the problem so clearly that the solution feels like very obvious. Did you understand? All right, okay. Now let's go on to the next part. The next slide, please. Yeah, okay. So we're going to learn what exactly is empathy in design thinking. As you guys already know, empathy is the starting point of design thinking process preceding the define, idea, prototype, and test phases. Here, empathy, it is nothing but observing the users, interacting with them, and listening to the users to like uncover both spoken and unspoken needs. And here we are focusing on emotional and psychological insights. Okay, when you use empathy, it ensures that the solutions which you have for your problem, they are like tailored to real people, and you're going to make products and your services, they're going to be more relevant, very effective, and very desirable. Okay, as given in the slide, empathy means understanding the user's emotions, their needs, and viewpoints by seeing the world through their eyes. So, in design thinking, it's about actively listening, observing, and immersing yourself in user's experience. Designers set aside assumptions to uncover real, sometimes unspoken user needs. Empathy ensures solutions are human centered and truly relevant to users' life. Okay, all right. So let's just pause for a second and ask something really important. Why do we have to start with empathy? Like, why do we start with empathy? Why can't we just brainstorm all the cool ideas or just build stuff right away? Okay, let me tell you why. Because without empathy, we're just guessing, right? Okay, now let's be real. When we guess people's problems, we usually get them wrong, don't we? But when you start with empathy, you're saying that I care about what this person feels, not just what I can make. And here, you're not just solving a technical problem, you're solving a human one. So, this is the famous quote by Albert Einstein, which says that, where he says that if I had an hour to solve problem, I'd spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem and 5 minutes thinking about solutions. Here, the great Albert Einstein himself says that he would spend like 55 minutes just thinking about the problem and just 5 minutes about the solutions. Yeah, and why start with empathy? Because empathy allows teams to see the world through users' eyes, uncovering real needs and pain points, rather than just making assumptions. Here, you just don't make assumptions. You talk to people, you consider what they're feeling, and all of that. So, here is a key takeaway. Empathy driven problem definition leads to better, more relevant solutions. So whenever you're building a product, so first remember that you're gonna empathize. You're gonna keep your empathy first. Okay. Now let me tell you all a little story for you guys to understand more well to bring this alive. Okay. There was a team designing better hospital experiences for kids. Okay. And what did they do? Am I audible? I can't see the screen. Okay, I'll just go on. Okay, so there was a team designing better hospital experiences for kids, and do you know what did they do? Like their first instinct was adding cartoons to the walls, fun stickers, very bright lights. All the kids are attracted to these, right? And but when they talked to the kids, they empathized. And do you know what did they find? The scariest part wasn't the walls. It was the MRI machine. The noise, the fear, the loneliness. So what did they do? They redesigned the entire MRI experience as a lovely spaceship adventure. All the nurses wore costumes. The machine had sound effects and the kids loved it. And they even asked to come back. Oh, someone has commented the screen has blackout. It's the same for me too. Is it for everyone? Okay, guys, give me a minute. I'll check up with Shambhu and come back. Thank you so much for your patience.
Hello.
Hi, your screen is
Yeah,
blacked out.
yeah, I'm sorry. Actually, my Wi-Fi got cut. I'm extremely sorry. I'll be adding the screen right now. Is it visible now?
I think it's visible. Is it visible for you guys?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much for responding. Okay. So let's just continue with the session. Yeah, I was telling you guys a story about a hospital team designing the walls for
Yeah,
like
just
better
just before the
experiences for
story,
the kids.
if you guys want to hear the story, just let's keep it interactive. Everyone comment story time in the chat.
Okay, let's go on. So thank you for commenting. Okay, so let's just go on. As I said, the hospital team, they wanted a better experience for kids and they started adding cartoons, fun stickers, bright lights, and all to the walls, for their better experience. But when they talk to the kids, when they empathize with the kids, what did they find? That the walls were in the scariest part. The scariest part with the MRI machine, the noise of the MRI machine, the fear and the loneliness. So they redesigned the entire MRI machine into like a spaceship adventure where the nurses and doctors they wore costumes and the machine had very cute little sound effects and the kids they really loved it. And they even like asked to come back. And here the transformation only happened because they started with empathy. Okay, so now let us see what happens when we don't start with empathy. Okay, now imagine the opposite. Just imagine that you're building a food delivery app for college students, but you never really asked what problems they actually face. So you just focused on the speed and the UI and all, when the real issue was affordability or them not finding healthy late night options and all. Here, now, when you don't ask people and you just build a food delivery app, so what happens? You build a great looking app. Wow. But what's the use? That no one uses. So, no empathy is equal to like wasted effort. Got it, guys? Okay. So, moving on to the next slide. Okay. Now that we know why empathy is the start, the next big question is how exactly do we gather insights? Like, what are we actually looking when we go out to gather insights? Here, we're not just asking like, what do you want? We're going to ask like, we're gonna know what do people feel? What frustrates them? What do they do? And why? Because people sometimes they often don't tell you the complete truth, but you can see them in their actions or their tones or in their stories. Okay, so here are few methods to gather insights: surveys, short user interviews, observation. So, first, we are going to learn about surveys. It might be Google Forms or anything. This is like a very great way of gathering insight when you want lots of data and you want it very fast. You just keep it very short and sharp. You you're just gonna ask it like in one short point, like what's your biggest pain point when, or how often do you face this, or if you had a magic wand, like what would you fix about and what? And the next method we have, which we have, is short user interviews. And here You just ask open-ended questions to people. Like, can you walk me through your daily routine? Or what's the most annoying part of doing this? Or have you tried solving it and what happened? It's not like an actual interview, just having a one-on-one conversation with the user. Okay. And then the next method is observation. Sometimes people they don't know how to explain what frustrates them, right? But you can see it. This is what observation is. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys another method to gather insights too, which is shadowing. It's nothing but walking into their shoes and then feeling what they're feeling. I think this method is underrated, but it's just nothing but where you follow someone around while you do something. Okay, now let's just say you're building a productivity app and then you shadow a student like during their study session and then you're going to observe them. You just watch how many apps did they open, how many times did they switch the tabs, how many times did they get distracted, how many times did they procrastinate, or how many times did they watch reels or check WhatsApp or just read notes. Okay, so these are like the methods to gather insights. Let's just go quickly through the slide. First method is surveys. Use structured questionnaires to collect qualitative and quantitative from a large number of users quickly. And then we have short user interviews, open-ended questions. It's nothing but conducting one-on-one conversation to explore users' experiences, their needs, and motivations in depth. And then observation, watch and note behavior, observe users in their natural environment to see how they interact with products or systems. Yeah. And here's a tip. Don't ask, do you like it? Ask, why do you like it in this way or something like that. And here, focus on understanding the reason behind the user actions and not just their opinions. Yeah, as Sharmila L has commented, sometimes we don't realize what problem we are facing else, until someone asks right question. And she's extremely correct. Okay, now let us learn about primary versus secondary research. Okay, yeah, shadowing is a modern word for stalking. Yes, I agree. Okay, now that we are diving into the understanding users and gathering insights, you've probably heard this two terms around, right? Primary research and secondary research. Okay, let me tell you, both are useful, but they're like totally different. Think it of like this. Okay, primary research is when you go out and click your own photo. Secondary research is you just Google search someone else's photo. Okay, now let me explain you guys clearly. Okay, primary research, it is when you go out and collect the data all by yourself from real people in real time. Like here, you're the one who is asking questions, observing the behavior, doing the interviews, shadowing, surveys, and etc. Okay, it's as written here, it involves collecting original data directly from the users, such as interviews, surveys, or on-ground observations. Now, let us learn about secondary research. Now, secondary research is when you look at the existing data that someone else has already collected. This could be from articles or blogs or research papers or just YouTube reviews or reports or just Reddit discussions or threads or etc. Now, let me tell you why secondary research is important. It is very important because it gives quick access and it gives you like a broad understanding about everything, and you're going to have a good background knowledge and trends. Okay. Now, you might be thinking, which research should we use first? Should we use primary research or secondary research? What I would suggest is use secondary research first to understand like the landscape, what's already out there, and what people are already saying, and then go to primary research to dig deep, validate, and challenge that you found and explore what's missing. Did you guys understand?
Yeah, Ayush is commenting that any examples of this in real world.
Oh, Okay, wait, let me think of few examples. Yeah. Um, I want you guys, I'm going to tell few sentences, and if you think they are primary research, then comment P. And if you think that they're secondary research, then comment S. Okay, got it? Okay. So now
Yeah,
my
yeah, there is
first,
a delay in the chat, so that's why just put a list of it and they will answer respectively.
it's fine, I'll ask.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So drop P for primary and S for secondary. Okay. So reading reviews on Swiggy about food quality. Do you think it is primary or secondary?
Yeah, going with the next.
Yeah. Watching a student use a library app and asking them questions. Is it primary or secondary? Yeah, it's primary. And next, interviewing five friends about their daily habits. Is it primary or secondary? Yeah, it's primary again. Um, Going through a government report on Gen Z screen time. Is it primary or secondary? Yeah, it is secondary. Okay. Now let's move on with the next slide. Okay. So here we're going to learn about empathy map. What is an empathy map? An empathy map is a usual tool divided into four quadrants that helps teams understand users deeply by capturing different aspects of their experience with the user at the center. Okay, let me explain you like clearly. Empathy map is nothing but a map which is divided into four quadrants, each quadrant which tells the first quadrant tells says, thinks, does, and feels. Okay, says direct quotes or statements from the user collected during interviews or research. Here we're going to write what did the user actually say out loud. Like examples like the user said, I hate waking up early for class, or there are like too many tabs open, I get distracted. Okay, and the next quadrant, things. What is actually going in their head? You know, the fears, the motivations, the dreams that they didn't even say it. You know what the user is actually thinking, but might not say out loud. It might include worries or motivations or anything. And the next quadrant is does. Here it's just observing the user's actions and behaviors and just noting down whatever they're doing. And then next we have feels. Here we're going to feel like the user's emotional state related to the experiences, like what emotions are they going through? Are they going through frustration or guilt or excitement or pressure or anxious or overwhelmed? It can be anything. Okay. Now you might ask, like, why do we have to make an empathy map? Why can't we just go on telling ideas and then directly building a product? But if you make an empathy map, it helps you to focus on one real user and it just connects the dots between what people say versus what they do. And when you make an empathy map, You're even going to discover hidden problems, which might lead to a better solutions and all of that. The next slide, please. Okay. So now we are going to learn how to create an empathy map. First things first, choose one user. Like, just choose one user. Maybe you have interviewed a lot of people. Like, not all people that you have interviewed, just one real person you spoke or you observed. The one who had really interesting insights or like seemed super relatable to your target group. Okay. How we're going to make an empathy map is first collect user data from the interviews, observations, surveys, and then just divide the map into four quadrants. As we already learned, what are those four quadrants? Says, thinks, does, and feels. Yeah, says. What user says directly, like the direct quotes which came out from the user, thinks. What user might be thinking but just not saying it out loud. Does users' actions and behaviors observed and feels the emotions user experience during interactions. And then we're going to fill it each quadrant with real quotes and indifferent sites. Okay, I'm going to I'm going to explain to you guys more clearly with the help of an example. Okay. Um, let's say we interviewed Ananya. She is a 19-year-old student who's like struggling to stay focused during online classes. We'll just make an empathy map just for her. Just take out to make an empathy map, just take out your notebook or anything and just divide into four quadrants, divide a sheet into four parts. And let's now break down each quadrant with examples from our user Ananya. The student who's struggling with focus. Okay. Okay, the first quadrant is stays. Here, Ananya might say, I keep getting distracted during classes, or even when I switch notifications, my mind still wanders, or I end up watching reels instead of rewatching lecturers, or something like that. Yeah. And what does she think? She might think like, why can't I just get it together? Or she might even be thinking, maybe I'm just lazy. Or she might even be thinking, everyone else is managing. Why can't I? Or something like that. And then we have this. Now, what does Ananya do? The student who is struggling, like being student who is struggling to focus. Yeah, Ananya might keep multiple tabs open during her class, or she might frequently be checking her phone, or she makes a to-do list, but then she ignores it, or she just starts studying late at night and then she gives up in the middle way, and all of that. And what does she feel? Here, Ananya might feel anxious, demotivated, stressed, overwhelmed, and all of that. Okay, guys? Now, and that's how you make an empathy map. And just remember that when you're making an empathy map, you don't have to just fill the boxes. You have to truly understand someone. Okay. The next slide, please. Okay. So here I built an empathy map of a student who is late for class. What does she say? What does she think? What does she does? And what does she feel? First, let us see what does she say. She says that I'm always running late between classes, or the cycle stands are too far from my lecture hall. And what does she think? She thinks that will the professor notice if I'm late again, or if only the cycle parking was closer, I'd be on time. And what does she do? She rushes out of the mess after eating quickly, and she sometimes skips having breakfast to save time. And then she even watches her phone or watch constantly and repeatedly while walking. And what does she have to feel about it? She feels stressed and anxious about being late, embarrassed when entering class. So, this is how you make an empathy map. Just select one real user and then divide the four quadrants, each quadrant which tells say, thinks, does, and feels, and then you're going to note down the points in the point of view of the user. Okay. Um, So, guys, now that we have listened to the users, observed them, and maybe even created an empathy map, okay, now it's time connect, all the dots and visualize everything. And that's what journey mapping does. Now, let me explain to you clearly. It's literally like replaying a movie of their experience, moment by moment and capturing what they're doing, what they're thinking, what they're feeling, step by step. You know, when you journey mapping, it helps you spot the pain points, the emotional highs and lows, the gaps in experience, and we're even going to discover the opportunities which are going to improve. And just map it out. And trust me, once you map it out, you'll see all the things that you've like totally missed before. Are you able to get it, guys?
Yes, guys, any doubts so far?
Yeah, any doubts?
Sharmila, what do you want us to repeat?
Yeah, what exactly should I repeat, please?
Yeah, affinity we are about to teach.
Yeah, we're going to start with affinity mapping now. Is everything clear, whatever that you have discussed before? Okay,
Yeah, you can
I'm
go on.
going to explain you what exactly affinity mapping is. Okay, so now that we have done with the empathy part, we've collected interviews, we've observed, we made journey maps and empathy maps. Now, what would we doing? We would like probably be drowning all the information that we got in sticky notes at this point, right? Um, Now it might take time for you guys to figure out that like in all the information that you have collected, what's important, what's repeating, and what matters the most. And here this is where the synthesis comes in. Okay, and today we're going to do one of the best tools in design thinking, which is affinity mapping. So affinity mapping, it's nothing but group of similar user reach nodes or codes into clusters and themes, visualize connections and patterns using sticky notes or digital boards. And what is the purpose? Identify key pain points, needs, and opportunities from large amounts of qualitative data, turn raw insights into actionable findings for the team. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to break down and tell you guys. So, affinity mapping, it is where you take all the data, all the raw user data that you have collected, and then you just write them out as individual notes. And you just start grouping them based on their themes or the patterns and not just categories. You know, it's just like you're solving a mystery. You take hundreds of little clues and then organize them until the story starts to reveal itself and it actually makes sense. Okay. Um, Now, let's say that we interviewed 5 students who struggled with staying productive. Okay. Now let us learn step by step how to do affinity mapping. Next slide, please. Okay, yeah. So we interviewed 5 students who struggled with staying productive. We're going to build an affinity map together. Okay. So what is step one? First things first, write everything down. Take all your data, your codes, your behaviors, your problems, your emotions, and then just writing and then just start writing one idea per sticky note. It might be digital or physical. Just write. Don't filter them. Just dump everything that you have, even if it's messy, everything. Okay. We took the example of interviewing interviewing five students who struggle with staying productive, right? For example, you might write here telling that where a student tells that I get distracted by my phone, or I feel guilty after procrastinating, or I start planning and never follow through. So just write down all. Okay. And then the next step is just start grouping the similar notes. Now look at the notes, and start moving the ones that feel similar together. Okay. And now this is where your brain starts spotting patterns. Here you can group things like distractions. What is the cause of the distractions? Phone, social media, multitasking, the motivational hacks, or even emotional struggle. Just start grouping your notes, whatever you have done. Now the next step is labeling the clusters. Now once you have like grouped the notes into clusters, give each group a theme name. And at last, the last step is to just zoom out and look for the problems and insights. Just take a step back, look at all your clusters, then ask yourself what's repeating across users, or what surprised you, or what's not being said but clearly felt. Did you understand? Okay, it's nothing. Just remember that when you're doing affinity mapping, you're just dumping all your raw data and then grouping the similar ideas and then labeling the clusters and then stepping back and extracting insights. Okay, did you understand, guys? Okay, then. Now let's go on with the next part, which is spotting patterns and pain points. Okay, first, let us know what patterns are. Patterns are nothing but they're just themes that keep showing up across users, you know, and pain points, what are pain points? They are the moments of frustration, confusion, or delay or emotional stress in a user's journey. Okay, when you like spot all the patterns and pain points together, what are you going to discover? Like you're going to find out what people are doing again and again, what they're feeling stuck or frustrated about again and again, and where they're feeling like that. Okay, let me tell you how to spot patterns. First, pull up your whatever data that you have collected, your interview codes or empathy maps or affinity clusters or journey maps, and then just ask yourself what struggles are users repeating, like what emotions keep coming up, or are there any similar behaviors across the users? This is how you spot patterns. And now let us see how to spot a pain point. Now, here, pain point, it is not just an inconvenience. It's a moment where the user is confused or frustrated or embarrassed or tired. Okay, so when you spot patterns, it tells you what users do frequently. But when you spot pain points, it's going to tell you where to focus on your solution. Okay, now we're just going to read this quick on the slide for spotting patterns and pain points. First, collect feedback from multiple users. Gather data through interviews, surveys, and observations. Ensure you hear from like a variety of users and not just one individual. And then highlight repeated struggles or frustrations. Whatever data you have collected after like after journey mapping them, after affinity clustering them, you are going to highlight the repeated struggles or frustrations or common complaints or common issues set by the users. Okay. As you review the feedback, look for some common themes such as issues or complaints that come up again. These are like the seeds of good products. When you spot patterns, like several students struggling with the same process or expressing similar frustrations, you've identified opportunities for meaningful improvement. Like when you have when you have already spotted like the pain points of the students, here you have identified opportunities to make a good product, to have a meaningful improvement and all. Okay, did you understand? Any doubts? Any questions?
Yeah, okay. I guess there are no doubts.
Okay, so let's just recap what all that we learned about. We talked about the importance of empathize and define, and how do you gather insights from real users. We even learned about empathy maps, journey maps, affinity mapping, and how to spot patterns and pain points that are like really affecting people. Now let us go to the next step, which is defining the problem, where we like take all those messy insights and we're going to craft a clear, focused, powerful problem statement. So to walk us through that, I'm going to hand it over to my amazing co-host Shambhuraj, who's going to show you how to frame the right problem before even we think about solving it.
Thank you, Leah, for this great introduction. So, moving on to the define part. The define part starts right from the empathy part, if you look at it that way, because empathizing is very important in the later stages because it is the real life data that we collect from people that we are further going to use it in making a problem statement. So transitioning from empathize to a define process consists of collecting that data and structuring it in a way that people understand it very easily just in one sentence. We are going to learn that format in following pages. The purpose of the define stage is mainly organizing and synthesizing the user research into a really focused and actionable problem statement. Like the problem statement should be so accurate that just one sentence should should tell everything about your product. The next purpose is to ensure the design challenge is human-centered, nothing else. Like it should uh, focus on the problem that the user is facing and just addressing that problem. And also, the reason why it's so important, the defining stage, we should have a clear path in our mind that what we are going to do in the whole product journey and how, in what direction we are going to go. So let me ask just one question to you all guys that do you love watching cricket? Let me know in the chat. Hey guys, come on. Cricket, anyone? Okay, I'm seeing responses. Okay, okay, not really. Okay, whether you watch it or not, so you may know some players. Which is your favorite player? Which is your favorite cricketer? Who is your favorite cricketer, guys? Thala, okay. Sachin. Nice. MSD. Okay, I see a lot of MSD fans here. So we'll take Thala then. So imagine Thala comes to bat for India in a very risky test situation. It's a test match and India is going to lose it. But unless we keep the wicket, like only two or three wickets are remaining, and if we play till the end, it will be a draw. And the coach informs Dhoni to play totally slowly without hitting any risky shots. But what this does in Dhoni's mind is it creates a whole picture in his mind that we have to do this and we should go in only this direction. If the coach didn't tell Dhoni to do that, he might have played one or two risky shots like T20s and lost his wicket and lost the match. So that is the reason why I'm saying that defining stage is so important. It creates a direction in your mind and which ultimately helps your product to be very precise to the solution. You got it, guys? Okay. Moving on to the next slide then. Yeah. So how do we define a problem clearly? A problem, a defined statement has a very typical format. It goes like a user needs a way to do something. Here, do something, we have to fill it in because it has some pain point or any problem. So here, there are three blanks which we have to fill in. The user, the task that they are going to do, and the problem that they are facing while doing it. Just like an example that is given, the first year students need a way to find their way to the classroom easily because the current navigation system is confusing for them. So this is how a problem statement is defined. Here, the user is who is facing the problem, a freshy student who gets late. The need is what do they need to do or achieve or the task they are performing. That is, they are going to a classroom which they need to find quickly. The insight is why they need it and also what is the problem lying behind it. Here, the problem is the current system is very confusing and that's why they are getting late. Okay, so guys, if you get it, just comment one problem that you face at your home or in the insti or something that you face on a daily basis or sometimes that you can frame it in this way. The user to do something because it has a pain point in the comment section, guys. It need not be very accurate. It can be really personal problem that you face at your level. It can be anything, any problem that you face. Not getting cabs during rush hours. Okay, that's a good one. Whether the mess food is good today. Try to be a more descriptive, like who is eating the mess food? What is the pain point here? Like mess food is not tasty. It may have fake paneer in it. It can be anything. Okay, fine. We'll move on. So coming to the next slide, which is about the problem framing techniques that we use in the defining stage. There are majorly two techniques that we use. First of which is POV statements, which is point of view statements that we just discussed. Like it contains a typical format that we always use. An example is a busy parent needs quick, healthy meals because of limited time. This is from the point of view of a parent. Like a point of view statement is always from the perspective of a person. Then coming to the how might we questions. How might we questions are more problem specific. They give an open-ended question that people make people think about it. Like how might we help parents prepare healthy meals faster? Like it automatically sparks an ignition in your mind that like a solution for it. We should think for a solution for it. These are such an open-ended questions that just we start thinking about it instantly. The purpose of these techniques is to ensure that the problem is very user-centered and actionable and sparks ideation, as I said. Okay, guys, any issues so far? Any doubts? You're not able to find rental homes with budget. Okay. You need to define the user as well here. Okay, Sharmila. Finding support for living abroad in terms of logistics. Here also, Sohan, you also need to define the user. How can we help employees stay healthy? Yeah, this is a very open-ended question. Good one. And I see no doubts there. I will be moving on. Yeah, so coming towards the tools for defining problems. So first point is personas. S- Personas is a very really good term. Many people don't get it, but we use it on a daily basis almost. Personas are just examples. They are examples of real people gave it in a fictional way. For example, if I said Ram is a boy who likes to eat chocolates. Ram is a small boy who likes to eat chocolates. Like generally, a small child always likes to eat chocolates. So Ram is just one hypothetical guy that I just made up, but it also represents the real life situation. So exactly as the personas definition states that personas are semi-fictional profiles representing the real users. Using them in a problem statement helps us capture the real life demographics, goals, behavior, and the pain points to keep them very team focused and focused on the user needs. The next tool that we use for defining problems is pain gain analysis. Pain gain analysis is nothing but just a compilation of all the data that we take out from the various stages of define. Like also even also from the empathize part. We take all the data and collect it and extract all the pain points from them and list it out. That's the simply the pain gain analysis. The it also maps user frustrations and to their desired outcomes. Like a user has this problem and he wants to do this for his as his outcome. This is a simple pain gain analysis example. These tools also ensure that problem statements are really user-centered and actionable, as every general tool for defining problems is. Okay, moving on. A problem statement has three main qualities. They include it should be human-centered, it should be actionable, and it should be solution agnostic. First of all, human-centered. every problem statement should have an user in it. As Sharmila just texted, uh, just commented one thing like not able to find rental homes within budget. This is not a exact problem statement because it doesn't consist any user. For example, here user can be a salaried person or an unemployed person, anyone, but it should tell about the user who is using that, who is going to use that product that we are going to create ultimately. The next thing is actionable and solution agnostic. It should be solution basis, so shouldn't be any hypothetical problem like time travel or something. It should be realistic and a solution can be created out of it. And a general tip for crafting the problem statement is keeping it very specific, clear, and broad enough to make people think about it and come with creative solutions on it. Any questions so far now, guys? Any doubts so far? Okay. Okay, cool. So moving forward, consolidating part. Consolidating insights is the part where you gather all the information, every data that you have regarding a problem, and put it in one place. We combine all the empathy maps, personas, and journey maps to get a full picture of user needs and pain points and the motivations for them. We also use this tool like the affinity map that was just told by Leah. It is similar to that because it includes a gathering of data and keeping it at one place. So we can sort it out and create a problem statement out of it. So we need to ask our problem statement one question that are you clear enough? Are you specific enough? Can you be solved? We should always ask the problem statement created by us. We should always ask ourselves that question. Is the problem statement clear enough? Is that specific enough? No, waiting to use all these things slash skills in real life. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This everything that is told that is actually very helpful in real life. You will get to know. Like not just product designing, but in general life, it's very useful. Like you get to know people like through empathy map also uh, we can like know a small problem in a very better way. So yeah, um, concluding this part, this process is also ensuring that your design challenge is really grounded in user understanding, not just assumptions. As Leah said, the when we start making assumptions, we start to go in wrong direction because we never make an assumption when creating a product. Like we do not assume that this user is having this problem unless it's stated by that user. That's why we need very solid and correct data from the user that we are going to further use. So moving on to the next slide. Yeah, this is an interesting slide. Um, this is just a classic meme template. Go through it once and give it a read. Okay, guys, did you get it? Did you understand the meme? But um, keeping aside the fun part, it also tells us like a very important point of the problem designing step, that is of define what is a good problem statement and what is a bad problem statement. So just tell me in the chat like which one of these is a bad problem statement and which one is the good one. Tell me the good one. Which problem statement is a good problem statement? Yeah, yeah. First one is bad. Second one. Exactly. Yeah, everyone got it right. So why is the first one a bad problem statement? That we'll get to know in the next slide. A bad statement always, it always jumps to the solution first, like building a map for student. It's directly going to the solution without noticing the problem. Like, do students really have that problem that we need to create a map for it? So a problem statement should go like first year students should need a need to locate classrooms easily because the current layout causes confusion. That's a good problem statement, which tells us which is the user, what problem does he have, what is the task that they do. They don't jump to the solution directly. Solution part is a very later part, like we are going to get to it through the whole steps of design thinking. But at this point, at the empathy and designing part, we always focus in the uh, problem stage and creating a definite path that we are going to follow through our whole journey. A good problem statement is always a user first and insight driven problem statement. And don't think like you are solving it. You are first framing it like what exactly needs solving. That you are first framing and then you are solving it. So always focus on the user. Don't jump on the solution. Okay, here we come to the conclusion part of the lecture and an interactive activity. So, um, I need you guys to pick a common object that you see in your daily life. Think like an user. Take that object and think like a user and fill a quick mental map, like what would they say, what would they think, would they do, and what would they feel about it, about that object. Do it in your mind, and I want one clear problem statement using the format user needs to do that action because of that problem. And I need you to drop that statement in the chat, and the best statement will get a shout out from me. We'll give that person one shout out who has the best structured problem statement. So take it as a challenge, and go on. We'll be accepting chat for next 2 minutes for this. Come on, guys, be responsive. Okay, we have a nice one from Kirtana. User needs a comfortable and productive workspace because he suffers from bad posture during working and distractions from the environment. Okay, that is a good one. An elderly user needs a simplified TV remote because the cluttered buttons and complex controls make it hard to perform basic tasks. Okay, good. Jay, I think you are off the track. You are asking some questions. It should not be questions, it should be a statement. Sharmila says, for solo travelers, finding safe stay is not straightforward, as nowadays many paid reviews make it difficult to find genuine host. Okay, an artist needs a set because they an artist need a set of vibrant paints because they want to express their creativity. Okay, this is a short one and neat one. Okay, anyone else? Okay, okay. We have enough replies now. I guess I went through all of them. Uh, Everyone gave really good answers, but I think Priti Muzumdar, he was really good with it. An elderly user needs a simplified TV remote because the cluttered buttons and complex controls make it hard to perform basic tasks. It's an actual problem, and he has used the format very well. Like an elderly user here is the user. The TV remote is like simplified TV remote is what he needs to do. And what is the problem? The cluttered buttons are the problem he's currently facing. Yeah, that is a good one.
Yeah, I agree.
User needs guidance regarding good food options available as per the requirement in foreign countries. Okay, so good one. Yeah, I guess you got the point, guys. Really great to see such nice replies. Nice, good one, Jay. Thank you for the replies, guys. I guess the shout out is for Prithibe Muzumdar. It was a good one. Yes. So moving on to the next part, here I'm going to sum up what we did in the whole lecture. We started from empathy. Empathy is where the real design begins, not assumptions, not guesses. It's actual data that we collect from people. That's why it's called empathy, right? And then we need to ask ourselves why we are going to do this, why we are going to do that. Why question is very important in the whole product journey because if we don't question ourselves, then the product is not going to be that good. That is why we need to ask ourselves at every point, like, why am I doing this? The next point is we don't need to define the solution. we first need to define the right problem. Our problem statement should be very problem specific. Like it says in the two words, right? Problem statement. It should be of problem, not solution. And a well-framed problem statement is halfway to a great product. Just like Albert Einstein used to say, 95% of the time he gave it to understand the problem, not the solution. That is the reason behind it. So these are the few concluding points and takeaways that we would like you guys to take. Leah, can you take this part?
Yeah. So we're gonna summarize whatever we learned in today's session. So first things first, we learned about empathize and define, which are like the two main foundation steps of design thinking. Empathize, we deeply understanding users through research, observation, and mapping, where we used empathy maps, journey maps, and interviews to uncover real needs and pain points. And then we learned to define a problem, synthesizing all the insights which we gathered into a clear, actionable problem statement. You know, like framing the right challenge using personas, POV statements, and user-centered language. And what is going to happen if you're going to use these first steps of design thinking correctly? Like, what is the impact? These stages, they build a strong foundation for ideation and innovation, and they ensure solutions they are relevant, meaningful, and focused, and they're really focused on the real user and problems and not just assumptions. So when you empathize and define, you're not just assuming, you're asking the user, feeling for the user, and taking concerns about the whatever the user is feeling and collecting all those insights as raw data and then forming a good clear statement. And if you just do the first steps of this design thinking, empathize and define correct, then your product, like whatever you're going to make, it is going to be a huge success. So as you can see here, the product with good empathization, and another picture shows a product without good empathization. If you can just see, the product with empathization is like strong because it has strong foundation. You started from the first step and it's like really strong belt and you're going to use it for a long time. Whereas if you don't have good empathization, you're just going to fall down, just like the second picture as shown in this meme.
Yeah, here we will perform one activity, me and Leah. It will be an interaction between both of us because I think we need to show you guys like how a problem statement is actually made just in just in a few minutes. Yeah, so Leah, hello.
Yeah,
So what product or what object around you do you choose?
okay. I choose to consider a school bag or a backpack which students and high schoolers wear to school.
Okay, okay, good choice. And what do you say about it?
Okay, so we're going to create an empathy map, and what I say is that my bag is always so heavy. I can never find my stuff quickly, and everything gets crushed at the bottom.
Oh, I feel the same, okay. And what do you think about it?
What I think is, I hope I didn't forget my homework, or where is my pen? I mean, I just kept it here in the side of the bag and it just disappeared. Or I think that I just wish that my bag had more compartments, more space.
Okay. And what do you feel about it?
I honestly feel very annoyed, with all the disorganization and very tired, from carrying heavy loads and heavy books. And I even feel embarrassed when I can't find things very quickly.
Yeah, right. And what do you do about it then?
I just dig around to find items in a rush, and I carry books, tiffin, water bottle, sometimes even a laptop, all that in bunches bag, like I can't do anything else. And I just find items in a rush, and sometimes I swing the bag around while walking or just sitting in class.
Uh, that must be whole mess. How do you deal with it?
Yeah.
Like what problem statement can you create out of what you just said? Give me in that format, like you are a user and you are facing one problem and you are you have to do a specific task.
Okay. My problem statement goes like a school student, which is here the school student is the user, needs to organize and carry their daily essentials more efficiently. This is the insight, and because traditional backpacks are like poorly optimized for accessibility, weight distribution, and school routines. This is my problem statement.
Perfect. Nice. So, guys, this is how you perfectly define a problem statement. And this was a kind of the whole crux of the lecture. And if you get this, you got the whole lecture. That's the point. So, moving forward, are there any questions left? Any question, any random question, or anything you have to say from your side? Tell us, let everybody know.
Any questions regarding the session or anything about the session, they're like warmly welcomed. Please comment all your thoughts and what do you want next.
Okay, thank you, Shamila. Nice one, Jay. Thank you, Samradni. Okay, guys. I guess you guys don't have any doubts. Thank you, guys. This was a wonderful session. You were a great audience. You were very interactive, and you really gave us a really good opportunity to talk about.
Yeah, thank you all for joining the session, and thank you for being so interactive and making the session go so wonderful. Thank you so much to all of you.
Thank you, guys. We'll be ending the stream now.
Bye, guys.